Okay, we are ready to request Dharma whenever you guys are. Okay. Sam, where'd you get my bag? Sorry. No, junk book. Thanks.
恭敬大德圣听，为此法会，及一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐，殊证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly, and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to lead suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Asa Baharato Aharato Sama Sambuddhasa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo saranto suchedoye lahadi samyao sanputoshe.
Namo Satanto Suchedoye Arahadi Samyao Samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Let's all read together, everybody together, English. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a million eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Good indeed. All right. Welcome, everybody. Shifu Shangren, Goei Shishong, Ajia Omitofo. My name is Heng Sure, and I'm here to guide you into the eighth ground chapter of the Avatamsaka Sutra. Again, this is Saturday night, February 17th in California. It is Sunday afternoon, February 18th here in Gold Coast, Queensland. And we're looking at the closing of the text section of the 8th stage of the Flower Garland Sutra. It's 10 grounds chapter, 10 stages. So we're here in the Gold Coast with 2 Dharma masters and 3 lay people, and looking forward to discovering what our sutra is going to show us tonight. First of all, let's begin by invoking spiritual presence. And we're going to return to page 32, but for the time being, in our text, we're going to scroll up to the top, where we find the name of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of Flower Garland Assembly, those who first spoke this text. And we're going to check their names in Chinese, which is right here on the screen, if you can see it. Here we go. Namo Tassa Bhagavato 大愿海为佛菩萨，南无大方广佛大愿经，大愿海为佛菩萨，南无大方广佛大愿经。 大愿海为佛菩萨，南无大方广佛大愿经，大愿海为佛菩萨，南无大方广佛大愿经。 大愿海为佛菩萨，南无大 Ampo Ayen Ayen Highway O Please turn back now to, let's go back to page 32 in our text, which is right there. Okay. So we are, let me put us in a context here. We are,
Dharma Master, can you hear us?
Say again. Yes.
Actually, we don't see anything
Yes, go ahead.
on the screen. Dharma Master, it's Jinwei here. We don't see anything on the screen. We lost connection.
Okay, thank you. You lost the connection. Okay, screen sharing.
Visual
Let's
connection.
Show main screen. Okay, how about that? Can you see anything now?
No.
Share the desktop.
You don't see anything. Okay. I got a message saying that GoToMeeting has lost contact with the server, it said. So it might be that we're just at the limits of our bandwidth. Maybe that's, or there's an electrical storm somewhere outside Mars that is interfering with our broadcast. Can you see it now?
Oh yes, something changed, but
Jinwei Shi?
no, we don't see. We don't see.
Don't see anything yet. Okay. So I don't think it's your fault. I don't think it's our fault. Somehow GoToMeeting has surrendered to our request that it communicate our message today. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Master,
you know what, can you hear my audio?
Yeah, we can hear audio. But
you can hear the audio, okay. Okay.
The audio is coming from GoToMeeting or not? Is from GoToMeeting the audio is?
Locke, I just sent a chat message. You want to pay attention to the box there.
Okay, now we can see your desktop, I guess, Dharma Master. But
you can see the desktop?
Yeah,
okay,
we see desktop.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the text?
No.
Not yet, huh?
No.
Okay. Well, let me suggest this. Instead of struggling to, railing against the realities of the computer, what I would like to do is
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hear us?
Okay,
Oh, okay.
are we back?
Yes, Dharma Master back.
That's working. Good, good. Sometimes it just takes patience. Okay, can you see that text now, Jinwei Shi?
Now, we only see the desktop and Reverend Heng Sure's camera, right? He's
Okay, I've got the Avatamsaka text up, which is what I want you to see.
Hi, Reverend Sure. We only okay. We're starting. We see your Finder window, but we don't see the text.
Hmm.
sir. So
Yeah, we have text in the Buddha Hall.
Okay, all right, so you do. Okay, in that case, let's do it that way then. So I can see you and I can see myself and I can see the text.
we see
But
the
you're
text.
not getting.
Dharma Master text back. We see the text as well.
Okay, you got it now. Great.
Yep.
Okay, so it should be page 32. We're going to make it bigger. Okay, there we go. Take page 32 and it says, right? Okay. I'm going to put my palms together and let's read it together. I'll read it aloud. You all read it silently. That way we won't confuse the back and forth bandwidth. So we're going to read the first paragraph, starting with 佛子. Ready? Here we go. 佛子举要言之，菩萨住持不动地，身语意业，诸有所作，皆能提起一切佛法。佛子菩萨住此地，得善住身心力，一切烦恼不行故。It's over. Okay, I'm on page 33 now, the first two paragraphs. Disciples of the Buddha, to summarize, when the Bodhisattva stays on this unmoving stage, everything he does with his body, speech, and mind can accumulate the Buddha's Dharma. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva stays on this stage, because here no afflictions run, he gets good at staying in the strength of deep thoughts. Okay. What I enjoy about this part of the text every time is this is the refrain. In Chinese, I think they call it the chongcong. You could also call it a chorus. And it repeats. You know how a chorus in a song, you sing the verse and you sing the chorus, another verse, you sing the chorus again. It's just a repeated part of the song that is the same every time. In the Avatamsaka, particularly in the 10 dwellings, the 10 practices, the 10 transferences, the 10 grounds, there's a request, there's a discussion of the new practices that the Bodhisattva in the previous ground didn't know. Now he's graduated to the next stage. Now he's learned them. Then there's a talk about the benefits, what is different, what is new from the Bodhisattvas having learned this new information, these new methods, this new Kung Fu. Then there's the refrain. And the refrain is, some people call it boilerplate. It's text that repeats. It's kind of automatic. And yet, in the way it's done here, with each successive ground, the boilerplate goes up a notch. So if before the Bodhisattva at the first ground could see hundreds of Buddhas, in the second ground, second stage, he can see thousands of Buddhas. In the third stage, he can see hundreds of thousands of Buddhas, right? So it goes up step by step progressively to where we're at now. So it's kind of a refrain, it's kind of a chorus, and yet it's there is a progressive increase each step. So that's what we're doing. I don't want people to feel frustrated because we're coming up against the limits of the technology here. So I'll use my voice as if it were a radio broadcast. For example, on Fridays in the US, I explained the Sixth Patriarch Sutra. It's a Saturday morning here, and it's audio only. There's no picture. And so we're able to connect people all around the globe without any trouble. Our Saturday night, this Saturday night lecture, the idea of it is that even though personally, physically, I'm not in California, that the lectures will continue as always, just the same as if I were there. And it's only the magic miracle of technology that lets us do that. And if we're getting information that it's we're asking too much of it, we'll scale back. Okay, and I had mentioned to Jin Chuan Shi and also to Jin Wei Shi that maybe we'll put both of you to work two Saturdays out of the month, and we'll do. I see the smile on your face. So we'll do 2 lectures from Australia and 2 lectures from Berkeley. Switch back and forth. That way, you all don't have to look at a TV screen to hear the Dharma on Saturday night and every time. And we won't run into kind of a big surprise when what we're trying to do doesn't work because of the bandwidth. It's pretty amazing that we can do as much as we do from really down under. If you look at a globe, here's a globe, right? It's a wooden fish globe. Here's the planet Earth. The planet Earth is a wooden fish, right? So if California is up here, right? Australia is down here, over here, on this side, right? So Australia is down here. To get to California, you have to go turn it and go up like that. So the fact that we're able to communicate at all is quite wonderful. So it doesn't do to be greedy and to be upset about when we run into the limits of the bandwidth. So I will continue explaining the text as if we were on a radio broadcast, not assuming that you all can see it. And let's proceed that way. So we've come to the refrain part of the chapter. What follows the refrain is what? Verses, repetitive verses, where the same teachings come back again in verse form, very different than the prose of the previous part of the chapter. So we're right now in the refrain, and some of these ideas will sound familiar because we have indeed run into them before. Okay, disciples of the Buddha, to summarize what Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva wants to say, when the Bodhisattva stays in this unmoving stage, everything he or she does with his body, speech, and mind can accumulate the Buddha's Dharma. Look at that verb. Nang ji ji yi che fo fa. So what is that about? It's that our 8th stage Bodhisattva is not a Buddha yet. Furthermore, he's not a 10th stage Buddha, which is pretty much the same as the Buddha, but he's very close. And how does he cover the ground from the 8th stage to being a Buddha? Is his behavior never ever departs from wisdom, never makes mistakes. Everything he does is done to respond to living beings' needs. That's the motive for wisdom. Why do you need to see past the surface? Because you're there to help. If you're only looking at the surface of your mom when she's upset, and of course she can push all your buttons and you can't help her because you're just reacting to her emotion or her state or her needs. This is not even mom, let's say your partner. Okay, so if you have wisdom, if everything you do, every word you say, every action you take, every thought you think accumulates the Buddha's Dharma, that means you're never off. You go right to the heart of what's wrong with the person you're trying to help, and you're exactly right. Everything you say helps. Nothing you say triggers more reactions, right? It's just right on. Furthermore, you never move. Everything you do is, you can trust your own mind, because what comes up is always, you could say, instead of saying the Buddhist Dharma, you could say universal truth. It's always true. Everything you do is right, and it's done with compassion. So how wonderful, right? That would be to be like this Bodhisattva at the unmoving stage. So, disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva zhu si di, dwell, live, okay. When the Bodhisattva stays on the stage, because here no afflictions run, he gets good at staying in the strength of deep thoughts. Okay, what is this saying? It says, Pusa, here's the Chinese, it says, Pusa zhu si di, when you stay there, when you remain on this stage. We used to say dwell, to dwell on a stage. That doesn't talk to me. I want real, actual English. And what does it mean? It means when the Bodhisattva is here, when he's at that stage, because no afflictions run. It says, yi che fan nao bu xing bu, because no afflictions xing. What has happened here is the Bodhisattva has purified her nature using the Dharma and cultivating, sitting in meditation for hours and hours and hours and hours, bowing until your knees ache, your back aches, and bending to the precepts, purifying your thoughts with the 6 guidelines over and over. What happens is, bit by bit, afflictions, which you could say is kind of like an untuned engine. The engine is now tuned. As a result, there are no more troubles, no more greed is there, no more anger is there, no more delusion is there. And today I was thinking in our meditation class, it's funny. I'm really a believer in the chemistry of the moment when you're doing Dharma. I prepared I prepared an entire lecture for the meditation class on dukkha. I was going to talk about the Four Noble Truths, dukkha, and suffering. The first one, the first noble truth of ku, which is the truth of unsatisfactoriness. And I had it all ready, and I was thinking, and when I got there, I totally didn't talk about it, not even a little bit. I started talking about Maitreya Bodhisattva, and we started talking about mindfulness, and I never touched the material I prepared. So funny. And maybe you could say, oh, no samadhi, you were just distracted. No, I trusted what I was following. So here's, as I was preparing this talk, in other words, I gave a talk I didn't prepare. The talk I prepared, I didn't give. And that's funny. So you have to kind of trust that you can, the chemistry of the moment is the right choice. What I was thinking was, here's the Buddha. The Four Noble Truths are the first speech, right? The first Dharma talk, when the prince had just become a Buddha under the Bodhi tree. And he decided not to talk. He thought, oh, I'm in a nirvana and that's it. I'm out of here, basically. Nobody's going to understand. And as the story goes, the Brahma gods flew down and said, oh, big mistake. Please do teach. You need to give what you have to living beings. They're suffering too much. And so they talked him into it. And the prince said, well, I'll try it. I don't have high hopes. I'll try it. So he set out and he encountered the 5 bhikshus. They weren't yet bhikshus, the 5 ascetics in the Deer Wilds Park. And he turned the Dharma wheel of the Four Noble Truths. That's how we say it in Buddhism. He turned he explained this basic truth. And what was he seeing? I don't know. I'm not the Buddha. I don't have his wisdom. But as I was thinking about explaining some of this to our meditators here, who some are old practitioners, but many are brand new. Many have just started in the Dharma. And I was thinking, how do you explain this idea of ku in Chinese, dukkha in Sanskrit and Pali? And in English, suffering isn't it. It's not suffering, it's dis-ease, unease, dissatisfaction, frustration, anxiety, trouble, the blues. These are all words that fit in with the idea of dukkha. How do you explain it to make sense? And as I was conceiving of it, I was trying to get an image that I could share. I saw that what's a human? Well, it's a bundle of conditions. Let's just look at earth, the earth element. What is earth? Earth is not solid. It's elements bound together by electrical charges at a deep atomic level. That's what science tells us. There's a lot of space inside of Earth. And what is water? Well, we know H2O, the chemical analysis of water, hydrogen and oxygen, bonded together by electrical charges. You can even go deep into that, and you see a nucleus, an electron, a proton, and running around neutron. So it's all kind of stuff stuck together because of the electricity that bonds it. And if you said, what is electricity? It's action. It's the power of habit. Doing it over and over and over again, it bonds together. That's the way it's been done. And you get water, then you get earth, then you get fire, then you get air in between. You put it together in a certain form with bigger habit, and you get a body. So the Buddha, I'm assuming, was able to see these humans, just this buzzing, festering clump of electrical habit energy bonding stuff together. into a form, and it's no more solid than that. It's changing all the time. It's constantly responding to environment. When we get sick, it's too much of one thing. It needs to be rebalanced, or something moves in that is foreign to our habitual energy body, and you have to expel it to get well, to get back. Okay, so what in this case is cool? What was the Buddha saying? Something like, when this bundle of conditions comes in contact with circumstances, often the sensation is painful. Fire. Ooh. You can destroy your body if you're too close to fire. If it's temperature in the air and humidity, if it's too hot, you have to cool off. What if you're too cold and you're not warm? You're not dressed warmly. You have to put something around the body to preserve the heat because it's too cold. External conditions are not satisfactory, so the body has to react. And that's, I think, much closer to the meaning of dukkha than simply saying suffering. It's how our human bodies and our minds react when we meet differing circumstances. The Buddha said, often it requires adjustment. You have to adjust. Rarely is it completely perfect and harmonious and endurable. And then even if it is endurable and harmonious and perfect, it changes. So suffering involves dukkha, involves all of this vision, all of his clear seeing about the nature of this human experience, this buzzing bundle of conditions encountering the world around it. And that's the physical. Then so much of dukkha, as the Buddha explained it, is emotional, right? What about anxiety? Just living in a world where, in America right now, we're on the brink of children, school children, planning to walk out nationwide in saying, we're afraid that when we go to class, we're going to be killed. Why don't you adults protect us? How come when we go into a classroom, we can be shot and killed? That's not good enough. We're afraid of that. You need to protect us. We're trying to get an education. You people, you big adults, you grown-ups, protect your children. That's happening in America right now. It's been a long time coming. And so there's anxiety, right? So the Buddhist description of dukkha included mental states, emotional states. In fact, if we live very comfortable lives surrounded by so many ways to delay physical pain, alcohol, aspirin, Tylenol, drugs, diversions, television, shopping, movies, the internet, social media, all ways to distract us from our current state at the moment, right? In a world like this, often physical discomfort, we can delay it. We can dull our receptors to pain. But that emotional, that sense of danger outside is a harder one to identify. And the Buddha said, right, this is called dukkha. That's what I mean when I say. So, okay, what about this? Why am I talking about this? This was just my pondering this morning on what I could talk about to the meditators. And look at, when the Bodhisattva reaches the 8th stage, no more afflictions happen in his or her mind. There's no more dukkha here, because afflictions, when things go wrong, greed, anger, delusion, pride, doubt, jealousy, rage, anxiety, fear, they're not working any longer. They have been disconnected from this bodhisattva's unit. Why? The second line, this bodhisattva gets good at resting in the strength of deep thoughts. This bodhisattva never leaves his contemplation of the Buddha, of the Dharma, of the Sangha, of generosity and giving, of the devas, of the precepts. Everything he does is completely connected to that reality. Doesn't let his thoughts run away, or her thoughts run away anymore. Like Confucius, who by the age of 70 could do whatever he liked and never depart from what was right. Right? It took Confucius a lifetime to get to that place where everything he did was tuned in entirely to Li, to the right way to do things. My goodness. Now the bodhisattva stays in the strength of deep thoughts. Shen Xin Li. De Shan Zhu Shen Xin Li. And no more afflictions run in this bodhisattva's nature. Okay, now what do we have? We have 10 getting goods at, right? The bodhisattva is getting good 10 times. Shan, de shan, something. That's our structure here. Take a look. De shan zhu. De shan zhu. 1, 2, 3, 4, there'll be 10 here. So I like this translation to get good at. Or you could say, if you want to make it more elegant sounding, you could say develops skill in. You could say that develops skill in 10 different things. So what do we have here? Our bodhisattva is not there yet. He's on the path. He is still developing and moving, progressing towards the Buddha stage. Okay, we're going to read the Chinese now. Starting right here, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom to where yu zhu shi zhong wu you guo jiu. Okay, I'll read all of this for those of you who are moving the text here. For those of you in Berkeley, we're going to read the 10 goods at. Here we go. 德善助圣心力，不离于道故；德善助大悲力，不舍利益众生故；德善助大慈力，救护一切世间故；德善助陀罗尼力，不忘于法故；德善助辩才力，善观察分别一切法故；德善助神通力，无边世界故；德善助大愿力，不舍一切菩萨所作故；德善助波罗蜜力，成就一切佛法故。Continue here. 得如来护念力，一切种一切智智现前故。Stop right there. Okay, good. Going back to the English, this is page 33 now. Those of you who have the text, page 33. Because he does not leave the way, he gets good at staying in the strength of sublime thoughts. Because he does not abandon benefiting sentient beings, he gets good at staying in the strength of great compassion. Because he saves and protects all in the world, he gets good at staying in the strength of great kindness. Because he does not forget the Dharma, he gets good at staying in the strength of Dharani. Because he is able to contemplate and discern all dharmas, he gets good at staying in the strength of eloquence. Because he goes to boundlessly many world systems, he gets good at staying in the strength of psychic powers. Because he does not abandon what all bodhisattvas do, he gets good at staying in the strength of great vows. Because he accomplishes all Buddha's dharmas, he gets good at staying in the strength of the Parametres. Because the Bodhisattva, because the wisdom of all modes appears before him, he gains the strength from being protected and remembered by the Tathagatas. Let's see. Okay, we're going to read one more. Sorry, I'm going to read that last piece. We'll take it all in one bite. More of the Chinese side. Here we go. Last sentence. 此菩萨得如是智力，能现一切诸所作事，与诸事中无有过咎。When the Bodhisattva obtains these powers of wisdom, he can make appear all sorts of activities, all of them entirely free of error. Okay, when the Avatamsaka Sutra gives us a long list like this of 10 things that are related, often the first one is it's called the Zong. It's the head or the primary accomplishment, and the next 9 are developments of that. They're subsidiary to the first one. And the last one, in this case, is a summary. So this is a lot, right? What's going on here? This is not the refrain that I was talking about. The refrain comes next. This is a summary of the benefits that the Bodhisattva has earned by his study of the 8th ground. I want to flash us back at the very beginning of the entire chapter, the 10 stages. It was quite a scene. We had Moon of Liberation, Jetoye Pusa, this Bodhisattva who was the head of all of this whole assembly, the Bodhisattvas and Devas and spiritual beings. And they were all waiting and they were hoping to hear from one Bodhisattva about the 10 grounds. The Buddha had already released light to signal that it was ready. It was time to pass on this information. And so everybody came together, seeing the light, seeing the signal. And Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva, the speaker who'd been, appointed to give this teaching, didn't say anything. He's just sitting there, silent. And Moon of Liberation says, okay, these people here are all ready. They're qualified to hear what you can teach. Please speak the Dharma for us. And he didn't. And he asked twice, and he still refused. And the Buddha spoke. It's okay, you can do it. I give you permission. They will get it. And Vajra Treasury explained his problem, why he was silent. He said, these dharmas are like the tracks of a bird flying through space. The bird flew by, but can you see like bird prints, wing prints as he goes through the air? No, it's invisible. He said, that's how subtle the Dharma of the 10 stages is. It's really subtle. It's hard to understand, harder to believe, even harder to put into practice. And I don't want people to miss it and to give up or to say, oh, we can't learn that, and turn away from it. So he says, I better be quiet. And so the Buddha takes repeated urgings from Moon of Liberation, and then the Buddha's own instruction. The Buddha said, it's okay, go ahead. He says, you can do it. So, who's going to say no to the Buddha? World Honor One, no, you're wrong, I'm right, I'm not going to do it. He doesn't say that. He says, okay, in that case, I'll go ahead. And so then the teachings start to flow. And after each ground, the sutra shoots us back to the dialogue between Vajra Treasury and Moon Liberation. And it says, right, that was the next level of instruction. Are we still good? He says, yes, we're still on track. Go ahead and teach. So he teaches the next chunk, okay? With that in mind, understand why this text that I've just popped up, why this text seems so abstract, right? Or so difficult. Okay, I've got a question here that has come from online. And the question is, I don't understand the story about the Buddha being ready to abandon teaching living beings after nirvana and needs the intercession of the Brahma gods to convince him to stick around. Okay, good question. You have to read your biographies of the Buddha. That's the story. And what's it like? I can't stand in and interpret it for you, right? It's not my state. I can give you my impression of why it might be the case that the gods had to come and encourage the Buddha. Let me refer you to the Avatamsaka Sutra, where we have another pilgrim whose name is Sudana. Shanzhai in Chinese. Sudana, like the prince, set out to understand his mind, understand the source of suffering. And he gets sent from teacher to teacher to teacher 52 times to learn the lessons that a bodhisattva needs to know. And in 2 and maybe 3 occasions, on 2 occasions for sure, he meets teachers who are absolutely terrifying. They are so intimidating, and they tell him to do things that his common sense says, I don't want to do it. Give an example. He meets a Brahmin, and this Brahmin is a vigorous cultivator, and he is cultivating what are called the 5 fires, the 5 kinds of fire. And the Brahmins are known as, they worship Agni and the fire, purification of fire. So Sudana, our pilgrim, has been told, this is a good teacher, you need to pay attention to him. And yet the teacher says, so Sudana comes up, he says, good man, he says, great sage, respectfully. Great sage, he says, I've been told that you're really good at explaining the Dharma. Could you please tell me, how does somebody cultivate bodhisattva practices? How does somebody walk the bodhisattva path? So the Brahmin says, good man, have you made the resolve for bodhi? He says. And Sudana says, yes, I have. I made the resolve for bodhi a long time ago. And so the Brahmin says, glad to hear it. That's good news. Okay, here's what you do. He says, you see this tree of knives? It's a tree with razor sharp knives. Climb it. Climb all the way to the top. And when you get to the top, throw your body off the tree into this pot of boiling oil. And we will purify all your bodhisattva practice, he says. And so Sudana goes, oh my God, nah, I'm not going to do that. This is obviously a demon. He says, how can I do that? He's going to destroy my work in the way. Everything I've done to this point will be for nothing. That's wrong. Okay, right at that point, guess what happens? From the heavens come all these devas. And they say to him, oh, big mistake, good man. You have misunderstood. This is truly a good and wise advisor. The sutra specifically gives us the words of the devas who are there watching Sudana's progress, because why? He's about to become a Buddha, and they want that to happen. They want Sudana to succeed. So they say, no, you must follow his advice. Don't be afraid. He is a true Shan Zhi. He's a good and wise advisor. And then they say, when we followed him and subjected our bodies to the 5 fires, all of our ignorance burned up in an instant. And everything that was dark and misunderstood, everything that was ignorant, got cleansed and shone with a radiant light immediately afterwards. This is a good advisor. So not only one set of gods, but many levels of devas come down in succession. And the sutra faithfully tells us all the encouragement, right? They say, don't forget, don't do that. Go follow his instruction. So as they're done, each of them testifying to what happened after they did what this advisor said, Sudana climbs the tree of knives, jumps into the boiling oil, and he says, strange. He said, I feel really qingyang, he says. I feel really clear and cool. This is wonderful. How fantastic. I never thought I would feel so comfortable. And the Brahmin says, well done, well done. You're truly on the path. You're going to make it to Buddhahood, he says. So there's an example of a repeated story of what happens when doubts arise. And so the questioner said, how could the Buddha abandon living beings? Absolutely. The Buddha, the prince, right? If you put it in context, the prince had been through 6 years of failure, 6 years of frustration, 6 years of loneliness, and a lot of misery, a lot of discomfort, living alone, finding methods that weren't ultimate, that weren't working. And then he finally hit upon meditation, washing his mind, and he sat beneath a tree. He said, I'm not going to leave this tree until I wake up. And so 49 days later, he got personal tests from the demon king who saw that he was about to succeed. Mara himself came and said, oh no, this can't be. We don't want another Buddha. And so he sent his daughters to seduce him. He sent his armies to terrify him. None of it worked. Mara himself came and said, who says you are enlightened? Who says you're the Buddha? And Mara was the prince's own face. He didn't appear as a demon. He appeared as the prince, Siddhartha, facing him. Anybody who saw The Little Buddha, a great movie, saw Keanu Reeves, right? Remember the movie? Keanu Reeves is looking at himself, and the prince is one thought away from Buddhahood, touches the ground and says, the earth is my witness. And sure enough, the earth shakes, Mara goes, curses, and turns back into his original form and vanishes. He's defeated. Right at that point, this is the context that led to the Buddha, what our tradition says, he explained what he saw through his newly awakened wisdom eyes. What did he explain? The Avatamsaka Sutra and the Brahmanet Sutra. It says right at that point, the Buddha explained those two texts, which represents the universe with no filters on it. And what he said was, nobody is ready. Nobody can get that. They haven't done what I did. They're not going to understand. I'm going to leave. That's what he said. And enter nirvana, because it's a waste. It's a waste of time. So they say 21 days he walked around the Bodhi tree, uncertain about his next step. This is how it's taught. And I sympathize with our questioner. It sounds uncompassionate to do this. This is what happened. And the Brahma god devas came down and said, living beings are suffering. Don't forget your vows. There will be a way to teach them. So the Buddha said, okay, and now no longer the prince, now the Buddha. He said, okay, I'll try it. And notice what he taught. According to our tradition, the Tiantai tradition, what the Buddha taught at this point was simple analogies. If you all know the Dhammapada, that familiar text, it talks about good and evil. It talks about reliable friends, right? It talks about the nature of desire. It talks about dharmas that are easily understood. A lot of the images come from nature. It talks about arrows, talks about horses, talks about gold, talks about water, things that are easily understood. And only They say he took the Avatamsaka Sutra and put it away because people weren't ready. So even in the progress of the Buddha's life, at the most, basic narrative level, we can see that the Buddha scaled back the level of his teachings so that people could get them. And later on, after 20 some years, he introduced prajna teachings, talking about emptiness, because his disciples' samadhi, their meditation, had come to the state where they were ready to hear more. They could talk about emptiness. So progressively, the Buddha upped the complexity and the subtlety of the teaching. So yeah, indeed, that is what happened. Okay, does the questioner accept that? Go take a look at accesstoinsight.com, .org, .net, maybe .net, and that will give you access to those original stories of the Buddha beneath the Bodhi tree and what happened. Okay, so I'm back on my text now, and let's look at what the Bodhisattva gets good at. He's good at staying in the strength of deep thoughts. That's the first thing we learn. That's the general statement of what's coming. So he's can zhu shen xin li. In other words, what? Samadhi. His samadhi is really profound now. And no afflictions run because of that. Okay? He never leaves the Tao. Everything he does is tuned in to inner principles. As a result, he's good at staying in profound, in sublime thoughts. Sheng, xin, right? Shan zhu, sheng, xin, li. The strength of wonderful thoughts. So he's optimistic. He's hopeful. He can face the worst situation and never get discouraged. Sublime thoughts. The Buddha, they say around the Buddha, you always see farther than you do without his presence. Okay? Now, he doesn't abandon benefiting living beings. So at this point, the Bodhisattva's complete path is ahead of it. Not like the Buddha, where the path is behind him, right? The Buddha, the Bodhisattva is beginning he's not to Buddhahood yet. So he can stay in the strength of great compassion. Very inspiring. He saves and protects all in the world, so he's good at staying in the strength of great kindness. We have Da, Si, Da, Bei, those two. His heart is soft. He doesn't forget the Dharma, so he stays in the strength of Dharani. What is that? He's always reciting his mantra. Okay, Buddha's always reciting his mantra. And this would be a good time to remind people about the mantra tally challenge. People remember the mantra tally challenge? This is to say that I'm here at the Gold Coast Dharma Realm, and Jin Fu Shi and the bhikshunis here and the lay people, when the name here is Shurangama Monastery, right? And this was already 3 years ago, 2015, was it? 2015, when Jin Fu Shi and talking with our Master Heng Sure and others said, we're going to build a new Buddha hall here, and we need a lot of money in the bank of spirituality. We need spiritual money in the bank, right? We need blessings and virtue to accomplish our goal. So let's recite the Shurangama mantra. Have people make pledges, how many they want to recite. And so they started accumulating pledges, right? How many mantras? And oh my goodness, people said, I'll do 3, I'll do 10, I'll do 108, I'll do 1,000. And my goodness, very quickly, they accomplished 1 million Shurangama mantras. And people chipped in from all over the world. They allowed went over the internet. So that was accomplished. And sure enough, I'm here in the Buddha hall right now. As you see, the This is the result of that investment. So that was a really good idea, and it came to the attention of Madalena Tan and her volunteers in China. And Madalena is one of Shifu's long-term disciples who is bringing Shifu's Dharma to China and having it published there. And to do that, she's got a big team of volunteers who are helping her all over China, young people who are internet savvy. And so they borrowed the idea from Gold Coast Dharma Realm and brought it to China and said, let's keep reciting. Let's keep reciting and pledging mantras. So they have a wonderful page up now where you can go and, can you find that link? Anybody know where that is? Not on the mobile, but on the computer. Where do people go? I have it somewhere, but it's going to take me a while to find it. So you can go on this page and say, I want to pledge however many mantras. And then you start out. And they keep track of the numbers pledged and the numbers recited. And they have multiple millions. If you text it to my text, I'll get it. Okay. WeChat, is that the way to get it? WeChat is the platform of choice these days. Not Line, sorry, we're not in Taiwan, it's not Line. It's WeChat. And it's not, yeah, so good. Okay, so I'll give you that link. And people, if you're interested, can do what? You can get good at staying in the strength of Dharani, because we don't forget the Dharma. New Buddha Hall. Okay, there we are. Okay, I'm going to type it in. Locke, I'm going to type it into the chat box so people online can find it. And it's this. It is Dulun, D-U, hold on here, D-U-L-U-N 1918.com, com/GX. Okay, let's see. Okay, now let me see. I know I won't be able to communicate this on GoToMeeting. You won't be able to see my website, but let me see if that works here. Okay. Cross your fingers. Dulun, if anybody wants to write it down on your notebook, it's DULUN 1918.com, and then said /GX. Let me just get to the .com here. It's taken a while, but those of you online can find it. Those of you listening on YouTube can find it there in the chat box. Okay, here's moving a little bit. Maybe that'll come up in a bit. Okay, so that is the power of Dharani. And we're accumulating pledges and mantras for not only the Sharangamam, but also the Great Compassion Mantra as well on that website. Because the Bodhisattva is able to contemplate and discern all dharmas, he gets good at staying in the strength of eloquence. Okay, powerful here. Our Bodhisattva is a teacher. He or she depends upon not only their samadhi, but also their physical behavior and their voice. So they can embody it in action. Their minds never waver from the dharmas, from all dharmas, it says. But most importantly, this ability to see dharmas clearly allows them to communicate in ways that people can get. Their voice is nice to listen to. It's a wholesome sound. People feel strengthened by their by the sound of the Bodhisattva's voice. Okay, I have come up with the page here. If I go /GX, what happens? 线上阅读宣化上人法会网 www.dulun1918.com. That's 100 years ago. That's Shifu's birth year. It's our centennial now. It's slowly coming up. That's the mantra page, /GX. What else here? Because he goes to boundlessly many world systems, he gets good at staying in the strength of psychic powers. Shantong Li. He goes to boundlessly many world systems. That's inconceivable, right? There's nothing in science that really compares to that. How do you explain that in the world of duality, the world of gravity and rockets that shoot out to Mars and circle the moon and such? How does the Bodhisattva go to boundlessly many world systems? It's part of his wisdom, and it's part of your wisdom and my wisdom, but we have to activate it. This is truly the inconceivable side of the Bodhisattva's ability. Because he never abandons what Bodhisattvas do, he gets good at staying in the strength of great vows. Never leaves his vows, right? He doesn't abandon the saving career, the salvific, you know that word, the practice of living to deliver others from suffering. That's what all bodhisattvas do, right? Because he accomplishes all Buddha's dharmas, he gets good at staying in the strength of the Parametres. Okay, this is the 10th one. Let me make sure of that. Okay, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the 9th one. The Parametres appears here. This is interesting because Parametres are the hallmark Bodhisattva's practice. This is, you know, the signature moment for the Mahayana's description of what Bodhisattvas do is the Parametres, which are transactional actions. The Bodhisattva sees that living beings are unable to give, and so he teaches them using generosity. He sees that Bodhisattvas have no sense of virtue. He teaches them according to the precepts. So it's very transactional. It's based on the responses of living beings, kind of like a doctor who sees, we cooled the body off and the person's health returned. So we're going to continue with the cooling. We're going to remove peppers from their diet, right? That kind of thing. So the doctor is able to respond to progress. Bodhisattva responds to living beings' changes according to the practices they do, and he uses the Parametres, these transactional ways across. Dao Bi An Fa, dharmas that take you to the other side. Okay, last one. Because the wisdom of all modes appears before him, he gains the strength from being protected and remembered by the Tathagatas. Okay, challenge to translate. This is a tough one to translate because it's a complex, meaning multiple layered idea. Okay, look at this. Notice the shanzhu is gone. There were 9 shanzhus, wholesome, good at staying in. Now it's different. It's de wu lai hu nian li. The bodhisattvas get Tathagatas protective, mindful strength. So how do we translate that? He gets strength from being protected and remembered by the Tathagata. And here's the second half. Yi che zhong, yi che zhi zhi, shen chen gu. For that reason, all modes of sarvajña, wisdom appear to him. 一切种,一切智智. We talked before we committed to this English translation. What is all kinds of all wisdom, wisdom? Literally, it's each mode of all wisdom, wisdom. 一切智智. What in the world could that be, right? So we came up with the wisdom of all modes. This is a stage of wisdom. It's not yet the Buddha's stage. The Buddha's stage is Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. But it's close, right? This is an 8th stage Bodhisattva's quality of wisdom. And because this appears before him, the Buddhas remember this Bodhisattva, keep him in mind, and protect him all the time. So, how cool is that? We started out with what? We started out with accumulating the Buddha Dharma in everything you do. So you're always tuned in to truth in every word, every speech, every word, every action, every thought. And at the end of this long list, the Buddhas and the Tathagatas protect this Bodhisattva all the time because he's got the wisdom of all modes working for him. This Bodhisattva is not selfish at all. He is so unselfish. He's now able to respond on all sides to requests for help. Amazing. When the Bodhisattva obtains these powers of wisdom, he can make appear all sorts of activities, all of them entirely free from error. It's never wrong. Okay. Now, if our lives are basically focused on pleasing ourselves, on keeping ourselves distracted and amused, if our lives have to do with just filling up our appetites, hungry, eat this, try a little different, let's go out and get some Italian food tonight, Mexican food tomorrow, oh, Ethiopian restaurant, let's try that, a little bit different. If our lives are lived that way, there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay, that's pretty standard. But here's a bodhisattva who says, I'm going to devote myself to service to others. I'm going to end suffering for living beings so that we can all wake up together. And so he sets out on that path, or she sets out on that path, and this is the result. Actions designed to make others happy result in our own happiness. It's really true. The Chinese say, 助人是快乐之本. Helping others is the source of happiness. And so this bodhisattva is able to make so many beings happy. He or she is always happy themselves. So understanding this principle alone is a key to why, if you look at Guanyin Bodhisattva's face, she never seems upset, right? Now, you're looking at Guanyin's face, you don't know. Were you looking at your mom's face? Well, my mom was upset a lot because I used to mess up so often. Well, Guanyin Bodhisattva takes every child as her own. And so all the time, making others happy. And as a result, has that deep, powerful sense of compassionate joy. So if we want to experience more happiness in our lives, it can result from satisfying appetite, not for long though, because the problem with desire is it is never satisfied. Okay, so turning our back on personal desire and letting it wait. You say, wait, hold on. There's always more. But look at these folks here who never have any. Can I make them happy? And then check back in with my desire, and you discover, indeed, giving, making others happy is the source of my own eternal delight. It doesn't go away. You just keep on giving, and that happiness is a constant. It's your companion because you're creating the source of happiness. Imagine having 1,000 hands. So whenever anybody needs something, there you go. Oh, there you go. Here, take this. Oh, you need some more? Here you go. You need a rescue? Ooh, just in time. How happy would it be to live unselfishly like Guanyin Bodhisattva? And now this Bodhisattva has got the power to do it all the time. All the time. All right. Bagali, that's another chunk. We didn't get to the refrain. At the beginning of the lecture, I advertised we're going to look at the refrain section of the 8th ground. It's still to come. Still to come. We'll get there next time. I wanted to wish everybody Happy New Year. Happy Lunar New Year, the year of the dog. And mention that today in our meditation class, I sprang one on Jin Shu Shi. I said, Jin Shu Shi, bless everybody. He said, okay, please, have a wonderful year of good luck. And everybody heard it. I noticed their reactions. They were like, oh, that was very nice. And I should give her a warning next time I do that. But traditionally, monks and nuns can 祝福 on New Year's, and it's a wholesome thing. People expect it and they like it, and it actually, there's a large number of folks who, they're like Christmas and Easter Catholics who only come to church twice a year, Christmas and Easter, the two big Christian holidays. There are people in the Chinese Buddhist world who only come to the monastery on New Year's because that's when they do their transaction with the Buddha that's supposed to last all year. That's where you get your account, your bank account of blessings to last the year. And so if the monks and nuns don't say, oh, Yiche Rui, may everything go your way, may everything be just the way you like it, it's kind of, you're not really doing your whole job. So you kind of have to do that. Shifu often did not simply do that. He would give them Dharma, which is a real gift. And he would teach them something like patience. Because why? Because the first day of the Lunar New Year is also the birthday of Maitreya Bodhisattva. Mila Pusa, future Dang Lai Xia Sheng Mila Zengpo. The Maitreya who is the next one to descend and become a Buddha. So, Shifu would often talk about patience and say, if you can learn to be patient today, you have all the luck you need for the whole year. The luckiest people are those who can endure insult and not get angry, not speak, not talk back, not fight back. That's the greatest blessing. And so he would talk about the old fool, Lao Zhuo, and he would say, the old fool wears tattered clothes, fills his belly with tasteless food, patches his robe to keep out the cold, and as things come, so they go. His belly is big because he can hold blame so hot and praise so cold. Sets his face in a smile so full that the situations people find laughable. The jewel of patience, it's a pearl, so rare, he would say. And then that goes on, it says, spits in his face? No, it says, if someone hits the old fool, if someone scolds the old fool, he simply agrees. He doesn't fight back. If someone hits the old fool, he smiles and falls down on his knees. Spit in his face, he lets it dry. You don't get upset. He saves his energy, right? The jewel of patience, it's a pearl, so rare. How hard is it to do? So the last line goes, now you've heard this patience gong fu, Maitreya wants to share it with you. If you go somewhere else seeking the Tao, I have to ask you, who's the old fool anyhow? right? So what a beautiful notion that in terms of real Gongfu, we think, oh, I'd love to be a Buddha, I'd love to be a great Bodhisattva, just like the sutra, right? And what would that be like? Wow, light's coming out of my hand, boom, you know, psychic powers. And the song says that if we want to do what the real bodhisattvas do, we simply practice patience. Can we endure others' insults and not get angry? So around Gold Mountain Monastery, Master Hua, he would never say, who's enlightened? He would say, have you changed your stinky anger yet? Have you been able to transform all that greed and give instead? And these are the things he valued. He really did value them. So bit by bit, here's, you know, the old fool. He looks like nothing. You look right past him. He's got really ordinary patched clothes. He eats food that nobody else wants. And he's satisfied. He's happy with it. You can't get him angry. You hit him, you spit on him, knock him down, and he's like, okay, no problem. And that, says Master Hua, if you go looking for the Tao somewhere else, who's the old fool? You missed it. That's where it's at. It's that ability to endure and not retreat from that profound patience and compassion. So that's the New Year's message, and you know, Happy New Year, everybody. We're into day 3 now of the cycle of the days following the Lunar New Year, but it's still a good time to ask myself, what is good luck? You know, do we get luck because the power guy puts the whammy on you and gives you rays and radiance and you get good luck out of that? Well, I suppose if that's how it works, how you translates for you. But more important, let's try this one. Let's say if you want a really lucky year of the dog, 2018, go home and ask your mom how she's doing. Bring your mom a cup of her favorite beverage. Maybe it's chamomile tea, maybe it's oolong tea, and ask her how she's doing and what she wants this year. And then listen, don't talk back. And if she says, I don't want anything, I just want you to be happy. That'd be a typical mother thing to say, right? You say, I'm happy, Mom, what about you? What would you like? And encourage her to have a conversation with you. And guaranteed, she will remember it until this time next year. So it's often the most powerful kind of luck that we can have in our lives is closer to us than far away. And it's often wearing very plain clothes. Doesn't look so fancy, but it's the real stuff. It's located in the heart. Okay, let's see. Locke has given me a question online. Are there an explanation for the goals of many Shurangama mantras and Great Compassion mantras? How about Buddhahood? How about wisdom? How about an end to suffering? The goals are infinite. Just do the work. If you can do the work and do the reciting, those goals will follow. By the time you're done, it's going to be a different world, right? For example, if all the students and faculty in America actually do walk out tomorrow, as they've been talking about, we might discover that's the leverage we've been missing. It might be that we have to follow children to learn common sense in America regarding the use of guns. We'll see. Could be a different world. There's another march, a walkout planned for the anniversary of the Columbine massacre, which was the first mass school shooting in America. So somebody counted, we have had a school shooting in America every 60 hours. You want to wait for the next one? Count 60 hours, there will be one. So the person planning it right now has got their gun, their AR-15. Somebody else clocked all the shootings, the recent ones. Each one was done with a gun called an AR-15. It's a military weapon. And somehow in America, we're in a situation where that's okay to shoot our own children. And the children themselves have now said, enough, stop this. You adults, do something to protect your own children. We are trying to get an education. We don't know if we'll leave the school when we enter in the morning. You do something, protect your own children, they've said. So we'll see tomorrow, actually Monday. It's tomorrow already here in Australia. It's yesterday there in California. So we'll see. That could be a different world by the time you're done reciting your 10,000 or 30,000 mantras, right? If you want to have a new year of blessings and good luck, keep your child alive. I don't want to talk more about that. Okay, Heng Sure, would you please tell everybody in Berkeley what is coming up this week? Want to give us some announcements?
Yes, Dharma Master. So we also have a celebration of New Year, actually 2 days in Berkeley Buddhist Monastery. And we received blessings today from unexpected guest, Dharma Master, good Dharma friend, the Korean monk Jin Woo show up and recite with us Om Mani Padme Hum mantra and says few words.
Nice.
Give blessings in Korean language. What was
Korean.
mentioned his experience when he visited saw Verbo Master Hua, when he was here in the and when Berkeley Buddhist Monastery was started. So it was interesting. On Friday, we have another unexpected guest, Jennifer Barazen, show up and sang "She Carries Me"
My.
and chant the words of loving kindness and as a wish, a New Year wish, and so it was full of people and
that's great. Yeah. Wonderful.
So the upcoming events. So on Monday we have Buddhist for the Modern Mind class, led by Doug Powers, Professor Doug Powers. And actually all classes are going as usual, so you can find all information on our website, berkeleymonastery.org. And next Sunday, actually, we have next phase of celebration New Year, what is Auckland Museum organized kind of big event. And we take part of that, and so will be, I think Guojian mentioned 11:30 will be the exhibition, and all the events will be open, and so people can check it out.
Okay, that's at the Oakland Museum.
Yes, Oakland
They
Museum.
do a Chinese Lunar New Year celebration at the Oakland, California Museum every year, and we go and make spring rolls and teach calligraphy and Chinese music and lion dance and good stuff.
Right, that's right. So this is what's gonna happen the next week.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. All right, I would like to encourage everybody to join me in Transference of Merit, Dedication of Merit. See you. I think this reduced function webcast seems to work if we don't try to show the text, right? So thank you for the tech team for rolling with us and helping us adjust to the bandwidth needs. Okay, let's make a wish, put our hearts together. Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Jinwei Sure, do you want to help everybody bow? And we'll see you all next week. Amitofo.
Amitofo.
Bye-bye.